It's time for the Luke Howard Show Live! Thank you very much for that little introduction. Thank you. Welcome to the show. It is what's the date today? It's the 28th today of March. I hope you're all well again, and I hope you've all had another great week. We've got one of our greatest shows for you today. But first, we're still here. Yeah, we are still here. The show's still here. We're still going strong. We've got lots to discuss to do with this virus, because it just gets worse every 5 minutes, doesn't it? So welcome. Hope you're well, as I just said. So here we are then. We're all in lockdown. Not very much is going on, is it? So let's start off, because I've got lots to get through on the show, because we have to start off by talking about the clapping on Thursday, because many of you Brits out there, that's our viewers, went out and took part in the clapping. I did it myself. I took part in it. Me and my mum. We stood outside the patio doors, and everyone else clapped in our area, which was great fun. And it was nice that we all did it. Do you want to know how many people actually did it, though? Do you want to know how many people did it? 1 million people. Would you believe? 1 million people, and it's game-changing virus as well, and it's telling people that will be sent to the public next month. The home checks, which reveal whether people have had this bug. It's sort of a bug, really, isn't it? And we now we'll start to go with they're saying 2 weeks now, and ministers have ordered more than 3.5 million, would you believe, of these kits. Now that is incredible, with more to follow. Now, samples are being checked this week, with the majority likely workers and volunteers. Can I just say, we haven't got an audience at the moment, obviously, because of all of this. Because we usually have a cheering, don't they, when they go, woo, woo, woo. Well, when they do that, well, they're not here at the moment, so we can't do any cheering at the moment, which is a terrible shame. So, yeah, I was looking up the national days, by the way, earlier on, and I couldn't really see which one to find, but it doesn't matter. But we'll do it again next week. If we get time, we'll do it next week. So what they're all, and if you want to have your say about anything about it, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's just go through about this first, and then I'll say how you can get in touch with us today. What they're also saying is that they're having a separate test which shows whether a person is currently infected or positive, or because the Prime Minister, would you believe? I've got to say, the Prime Minister's even got it as well now. I know everyone should know that Boris Johnson's got it, and everyone's panicking about it. You know. Which is a bit bad, but you know, Professor Yvonne, well, very bad. Yvonne Dooley, a Health England medical director, she said that this is critical to understanding what is going on, and is to allow people to go to work. A separate test which shows whether a person is currently infected or is coming into 2 hospitals with coughs and fevers. Now, ministers had pledged to ramp up these checks to 10,000 a day, and workers have to be given the all clear on Wednesday. PHE officials promised to do 12,000 a day by the end of April, would you believe? Now, meanwhile, thousands of extra veterans are needed to treat this coronavirus patients will not be ready for months, despite the outbreak set to peak by Easter, would you believe? Now, an intense care nurse, she says that bosses are starting to treat COVID-19 patients and hard pressed. Amber Colwyn tweeted that getting told at 28, make sure you have your pension and you'll be sorted. She did first night shift in intensive care, and we are short staffed. Now, one of 13,000 likes to her post said that, similar to military staff going to war, you are the front line, and you are a massive debut. Every one of you, when this is over, there needs to be a serious review, which is true. And she said a third told Amber that when from Glasgow, said thank you for putting your life at risk on the line to save others, and she said you are a true hero. She also said that nurses have told of a lack of protective gear, but the Department of Health yesterday said that 24.6 million gloves and 7.5 million face masks and 1.9. What's the point of even wearing them? It doesn't do very much. Eye shields and have been provided in the crisis. Now, the idea for Clap for Carers spread via social media with families. They're all applauding from front doors and gardens, balconies and windows from 8 p.m. That was the other night. Streets were empty and silent for days. They were empty, and it was filled with people. Filled with lots of people, and the sounds of hope as people emerged from isolation to clap, cheer, sing and play instruments. It came as the army of volunteers, 750 million the other night. It smashed the Intel target of 250,000 recruits needed for tasks such as driving patients and supplies, and had making phone checks on the vulnerable. Health Service boss Simon Stevens said that the response that we use in our country's greatest time or need is extraordinary. Now, organisers of last night's clapping campaign had asked the nation to join a big applause show for all of our workers on the front line, which is absolutely amazing. And can I just say, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say well done to all those NHS people out there. They are absolutely brilliant. They look after millions of people, and we just want to say mwah, lots of love and thank you very much for helping us out. Right, okay, so we're going to go on now to COVID-19 again, because there is another story about what's his name? There was someone the other day on the conference, Mr. Sunak, his name, Sunak. Now, that's his name, Rishi Sunak, that's his name. The other night, he bailed out the self-employed as well, with jumbo $2,500 a month payments, but the cash will not be available until June. His latest advanced emergency intervention, costing $9 billion, will help strivers and people on less than $50,000 a year. It will be hit by the coronavirus crisis. He said they can apply for a grant, which is 80% of their average earnings over the past 3 years. And the scheme is expected to help an estimated 35 million, and to help on an estimated 3.8 million people. Is to help an estimated 3.8 million. And initial grants will be paid in the first week of June. Just to let you know, the first week of June it will be paid. But to complete, Mr. Sunak, he pledged backdate them to March and pay in a lump sum of up to 7,500, giving worried Brits the guarantee that help is coming soon. Now, the Chancellor's Generous Rescue package matches that one of the unveiled for employees last week. Now, speaking at Number 10's Daily Press, he implied that you have not been forgotten. We will not leave you. We will dub this overall coronavirus. Nice is one of the most significant British state, and by anyone, anywhere in the world. He said, but he suggested a tax hike for the self-employed, and he said that we would come after the crisis, as he hinted at bringing their national insurance contributions in line with the higher rate employers pay. He said it is harder to sustain the argument that if you are taxed and you are treated differently. MPs were stunned by the scale of the hangouts, which were a Treasury and had been planning for much of the week. The package means that anyone who has lost less than 80%, would you believe, of their income in their 3-month period will actually be in profit from their usual earnings. Self-employed workers expect from the bailout that those on more than $50,000 a year, and those who only started working for themselves in the last year. The later group do not qualify as they have yet to file tax returns for HMRC to judge their income. Those who are eligible include low and middle earners, such as cleaners, plumbers, electricians, musicians, hairdressers, cab drivers, personal trainers, childminders and supply teachers. The scheme is to open to all who have lost money from the crisis and who earn their half of their total income via self-employment. The average monthly payout will be £940. The rollout was delayed by a month to give anyone who has not filed a 2018-19 tax return more time, a move Mr. Sunak dubbed a responsible and sustainable trade-off. He insisted that his plan was the quickest way to deliver this to keep cash flows going until June. Theresa officials told self-employed workers to apply for an interest-free business loan of up to $5 million that Mr. Sunak set up last week to ease pressure on bank balance. The Chancellor also delayed June's tax demand on next January, and he can apply to go on universal credit now. Supplied and applying to go onto universal credit, and now up to 94 a week for job support. Federation of Small Businesses Chairman Mike Cherry, he dubbed it as a bold support package that will give much needed help to vast numbers of self-employed workers, and trade unions body to the TUC also called it to a welcome step. Government borrowing will have to triple this year to pay for Mr. Sunak's vast innovations. Experts, what do they know? Well, the IFS estimates that he will have to borrow £175 billion, but their figure is based only on the economy shrinking by 5% in 2020, and borrowing with the IFS says that 23% of self-employed workers were in relative poverty before the virus crisis. Now, the situation is actually likely to deteriorate, with 80% self-employed. They lose work due to this lockdown. IFS, which is happening right now, people. Director this is Helen Miller. She said that the self-employed are more exposed to the large falls in the demand resulting from social distancing, which is true because of all people. If you go out, just keep a distance. Don't go near anybody at all. Just keep your distance, and you'll be absolutely fine. It's likely to be living in poverty for the employees. Meanwhile, a Commons Committee inquiry into the impact of the virus on businesses and workers. They heard that Barclaycard staff claimed that they were not guaranteed sick pay, and BT call centre workers said that there was an option to work from home. Now, claims for unemployment benefit is the US, and it's been hit by 3.28 million. One record due to the pandemic, and you can read more about that online. You can get all about these stories online, and I've had my say about this. I know it's very, very hard for a lot of people at the moment, and we've all just got, as I said last week, we've all just got to be near each other, and we'll all be okay. We'll get through this. We will. We really will. You just got, as they all say. It was hard yesterday. We was walking the dogs but let me give you an example. We was walking the dogs in the park yesterday, and it was, just not in the playgrounds, around the field, and it was absolutely dead. There was hardly no one in there. It was a beautiful sunny day, not a day like today, but it was a really nice sunny day, really, really nice. But not enough people. They've closed all the parks and stuff because no one needs to go in because everyone's at home, so. And poor old Boris Johnson, our hearts go out to him as well, from all of us here at the Luke Howard Show team. Our hearts go out to him because one moment he was fitting well, and in the next minute he got it. I think Donald Trump's got it as well. That's what everyone thinks. And I went down my town last night with my dad, and I've never seen so much shops, to be honest, that have closed, with just stuck signs up on their shops saying we're only allowed 2 people in at a time, and it's very different. As I said, it's very, very different. Just look back to last week, what I said. It's very different. But I think we've all just got to get on with it and just carry on with our lives, as they say, just get on with it, and then everyone will be okay. Because we will be okay once we get through this. But the NHS has been brilliant. They've done as much as they can, and that was why we all stood outside the other night to give them a clap, because they're absolutely brilliant. And our hearts go out to them as well, as I said earlier on, and our hearts go out to Boris Johnson, and we hope that he gets well very, very, very soon, because one minute he was fine and the next minute he wasn't. Because on Thursday night he was standing outside Downing Street waving somebody off, and then the next minute he got it. So everyone, it's out there somewhere, people. It's all over the country, but it's somewhere out there. It's somewhere out there, and we've just got to find out where it is. Because I know it's not over here. It must be. I know it's not in Buntingford, but everyone's saying it is. It's very hard to tell where it is and where it isn't. To be honest, it's very, very hard, but I think there's a programme starting on BBC One on Monday at 10, and it's called Coronavirus Your Questions. I think it's something like that. It starts at 10 on Monday on BBC One. What they're doing is they're getting people in on the phones, and they're going to have a specialist in there, and they're going to answer your questions. That starts Monday on BBC One at 10, so that's going to be very, very good. It's a programme, it's supposed to be, it's not a programme, it's just,